make a short list.
Yeah, just take whatever you think is you could put a resort up in. You know, Hilton went out and bought his places. He feels like he's going to just be able to go out and take them over.
You think that Canada needs a Trump hotel?
Oh, without a doubt. How many people do you think in Canada would stay in a Trump hotel? How many Canadians do you think would stay? I mean, I don't know how many United States people you think would stay, except if you were tied in with the asshole. But I mean, could you see anybody in Canada going to Le Trump Montreal? I don't think so.
I'm not. I'm certain that they have great difficulty. They're preparing for our invasion. You know that
Well, they
Canada.
should. At this point, if I was a neighbor to this country, I'd prepare for anything.
Yeah.
I really would. I wouldn't count nothing out at this point until this guy's out of office. I wouldn't count anything out. I think he's capable of some shady stuff.
You know when he sits there and monologues and says ridiculous things. He was talking about the 2020 election being rigged today to all European audience who had no interest in his points of view. And like in our country, which is total silence, the only person who's speaking, the only person who's talking, the only person who's listening is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And the
Well,
mics are open and the cameras are on, and he's just making it up as he goes along. But remarkably, the people in the room just remain totally silent. The President of Egypt, all the other people that were there, everybody's assistants, the person who's supposed to be translating from English to Arabic or whatever language you're listening in, they're all they're all there and in their suits and looking washed and shaved and ready to go for the day, but without a word. Nobody says anything. Trump just talks and he rambles on and he drones and he makes up shit and he lies and
well,
then he
he's out
lies
there as
again.
a joke. But he's a joke with a dangerous.
Punchline.
Yeah, thank you. Punchline. Yeah, he's a joke with a really dangerous, and he's a joke that can um, cause markets to collapse, can cause economies to go under, can cause death, either just frontally by shooting people or sending them to prisons where they have no hope of any kind of justice, or by saying that these vaccines aren't any good anymore. You shouldn't be putting them in your children, and your children dying at an early age or contracting a disease and suffering horribly. This guy has no feeling for it. No, nothing. There's nothing.
Not even the beginning, not even a green shoot of an idea that could be of some use or benefit to the world.
Well, he knows
No,
everything. And he's surrounded himself with a bunch of people who think that he knows everything. Because he gave himself and the Supreme Court went along with this absolute power. And what's the old saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so, yes, anything he does, he's immune to as president. He's got an army of lawyers, probably the only people in the world he ever pays.
Lawyers learned about this type of client a long time ago. That's why they call it a retainer. I don't work for you. Yes, you do. No, not until the retainer is paid. I don't work for you or anybody until I'm paid in advance.
Well, how many of
That's
those
how we
people
do
do
it.
you think were paid off in jobs? I mean, the Alina Habas of the world, and the other one that just quit in New Jersey. Um, I mean, how many of these people were paid off in jobs that they were promised if he gets in as as president, that he would be able to get them these U.S. attorney jobs, or jobs with power, jobs with the ability to corrupt or be corrupted. I mean, it's It's not hard to imagine. Why do you think you don't see his kids anymore? I mean, I have to think at this point, the only one that's not embarrassed of him is Uday and Kusei. I mean,
I don't. You make a good point. Where have they been? In Saudi
no,
Arabia, checking their accounts.
I mean, they brought Joe Biden's kid to court and tried to prosecute him on several things. And I'm not saying that Joe Biden's kid was an angel. We know he wasn't. But I don't believe that Joe Biden's kid did a smidge of what these animals are doing. That's all they are, is animals. He's an animal. The wife is an. They're all just the worst of what we can present in America.
Hyenas, or I think a hyena is an apt description. They're not elephants. They're not the GOP.
No, they're dogs. Really. Well, that's insulting to dogs. They're just the lowest form of human being that we can come up with on the earth. That's what they are. That's who they are. They're not good dictators. The only thing that I can hope and that I can do, the question is, what can we do about it? That's the only question that is. What can we do about it? And the only thing that we can do about it is work as hard as we can to get people elected in November that will do something about it and will not just pay this guy lip service. Besides that, we can somehow pray that there'll be a way to get a Democrat majority before the election. It's getting closer and closer, but it's not there yet. Or to get some Republicans that realize that this guy is a nut job. But I don't think you can get that.
No, they've trained themselves into this fantasy land that everything's going to be all right if Donald Trump gets his way. If Trump is happy, then I'm happy. If Trump is fulfilled, I'm fulfilled. What he believes, I believe. What he eats, I eat. And where he goes and what he says when he gets there, I'll tell you in advance, I'm down with it. Whatever the Trumpster wants is what I want. How long this can last and how Americans came to take a knee on this subject is the most fascinating object of this. When you ask, how can we stop him? How can we stop this guy legally? How can we stop him permanently? The options never present themselves. The last time we had a real shot at it, Vin, is when we tried to impeach him. Since then, nothing that we have employed or wished for or hoped for is strong enough, legal enough, and powerful enough to stop him. Nothing. Not even close. And I get pissed off at the founding fathers for saying you designed the government that was going to be despot proof, that a tyrant could never take over. A tyrant couldn't, using the tools that we have in the Constitution and the structure of our government, take advantage of it for his own purposes and just screw everybody else with no element of brakes, no brakes to put on, no downshifting into another gear, no hope that tomorrow we can get organized and change what has befallen us, how our government has gotten away from us. Our government's been taken over by one guy, and nobody can stop him. Nobody can tell him no. Nobody can take us in a different direction. That's the part I find fascinating about this. When people say, why can't you stop him? Why can't you just bring this to a halt? Why don't you have checks and balances that you can employ to stop this guy and the next Trump who knows how many are waiting in the wings to take over after this Trump is gone. When they see that if you have the votes, you can be any kind of a dictator you want. You can be any kind of a jerk you want. You can be as dangerous to the United States as you can organize that danger and focus it on the people. You can attack cities. You can destroy the laws. You can say that you're never going to, you can say you're going to bring out the Epstein files and never do it. And there's no means to compel you to do the right thing or to stop doing the wrong thing. And that's what I find fascinating about where we are right now. We cannot stop ourselves. We cannot correct the course and do this differently.
Well, yeah, and it's fascinating also that the means were there to stop it, and several times, and different entities have the power to stop it, and didn't want to stop. We had the power to stop it last November, and we let things happen that through a combination of things. I'm not going to lay the blame in just one place, but people bought his line of bull. Enough people to elect him president.
And now you see that he's grown increasingly feeble and unfocused and unpredictable and unreliable and unprofessional. And
oh yeah, at what point is the 25th Amendment going to be invoked, or is it?
It's getting pretty spooky.
Are we going to wait? Are we going to wait until he has a breakdown in front of everybody, or are we going to do it? And listen, he's had several incidents, but who's the person in Congress who's going to get the votes? Who's going to convince the Republican majority to vote out their president, to get rid of their president? I wish that it would happen. I think we all wish it would happen. I think we all know it needs to happen. But the way our system is designed, and the people that we have there that know that their gravy train is going to end when Trump is out of office. When Trump gets impeached or gets declared feeble or whatever, their gravy train is going to be over, because if you get a J.D. Vance government, you're going to have to think it's going to run much differently, solely for the fact that he would want to get elected to the office at the end of the term of his filling in of the remainder of Trump's term. So you would have to think that he would at least feel like he had some constraints on him and want to work with people on the other side to unite the country. You would think that. Now, again, we have seen that it's, I mean, I don't know what to think of him. I don't think much so far.
He's not a self-starter.
Yeah, but he's no Trump. Nothing is a Trump. And if this country hasn't learned its lesson from Trump, and I know that there are people that have it that will still stand up and say that he's a great president and he's doing a great job. Well, I gotta say that I don't see J.D. Vance, doing, knocking down the White House and changing the building, or slapping his name on everything. I think that he would be, while he wouldn't be an ideal guy that we would want, would have to be better than this, you would think. And again, I say that, just from the standpoint of running the day-to-day business of the country.
Well, it'd be different. I don't know that he could do a good job. I don't know that he could do a reliable job, but it would be different, and it might even resemble the structure of government that we've grown used to. prior to
Yeah,
Trump.
I think it would. I mean, I think at the very least, whether you'd go back to a government that you didn't like what they did, but you'd say, well, this is a governmental thing, and not this bullshit of every waking up every morning to something insanely new and insanely nuts and insane. And, just something that you just scratch your head, and we could maybe start to gain some traction in getting our relations with other countries back. I mean, we've blown the superpower of the world thing. I
Who
mean,
wants to
nobody's going
be
to believe that.
who wants to be friends with us?
Well,
Who
nobody until Trump is gone.
right.
Nobody's going to want to
There's
be
not
friends.
even a short list other than North Korea and Russia.
And we've lost so much time. Forget about things like healthcare and this and that for a second. Just in what we are as a nation, how we exist as a nation, how we're governed, we've lost so much time. There's real problems in this country that have to be addressed. And they're not addressed because the focus is always on him. And not
the tariffs are tearing the economy to bits. And the reaction of the markets yesterday to Trump making his demands about Greenland was the greatest loss in market value since 2016. And the forecasts for the results of this Davos meeting are going to be predictably chaotic. And once again, the leaders of the world are sitting around silent, holding their coffee while Trump has a press conference where he makes no sense from start to finish, where he just drones and invents things and talks about the 2020 election being taken from him.
It's not much more they can do. What can they really do?
And nobody raises their hands or even has a question or says, that's about enough of that. We've heard that story before. We're here for a meeting to do with this and that, and these 10 items are on our agenda. Let's stick to it. And why don't you shut up?
The world will move on without us. The rest of the world will move on. Yeah, and I know I analogize things to cars a lot, but I think what we saw in Canada last week is an indicator that, you know what? We don't need the United States. We can get our electric cars from China. We can get we can get stuff from other places. We can align ourselves with other people who will give us everything that America can give us, because China's not a backwater country anymore.
Also, the U.S. and Canada were making cars together. They were making parts in Canada. They were assembling them in the United States. They had a sophisticated, exciting, satisfying, profitable relationship. And Trump screwed all that when he said, I'm putting tariffs on every time that part crosses the border. I'll charge you once when you send it on Tuesday. I'll charge you again when you send it back on Wednesday. When you send it to me on Tuesday of next week to be assembled, I'll charge you a third time. And I won't tell you what the price is going to be. I'll just say that I'm fixing a price. I won't tell you what it is. It's just part of a tariff. And Canada said, no, we're not the least bit interested. We're not interested in doing it that way. We're your partner.
Medieval. It's medieval, Michael. It's stuff that that a king sitting up on a throne would do, saying, "Well, I don't like Slovakia, so we're going to charge them $100 to come across our border every day." Oh, really? They said the Queen of Slovakia said something about me. Make it $200.
And this morning, the European Union is suspending the work on the trade deal between European countries and the United States. They're not even going to discuss it. They have this big meeting in Davos. It's an economic meeting. And the decision that they made in the meeting is no more work with the United States. Put it on hold. Set it aside. We can't count on them. They're not reliable business people. They're not good partners. They're not fair. They're not truthful. They are not our ally. We don't need that ally.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, um, in the 30s, when stuff like this was going on, the 20s and the 30s, when America had this isolationist kind of mindset to it, at least the people outside of the United States didn't hate the United States. They just didn't think about it all that much. It wasn't it wasn't a factor, and nobody in Europe or other continents really thought much about the United States and what their position was in the world. But after World War II, when we became the superpower, uh, really the first superpower, when we got the nuclear bomb and we started to um, rebuild Europe and get involved in people's affairs much more,
We had
that
that
changed.
gigantic boost in our own economy post-war.
Yeah, that changed. And now you have people who are much more readily available to dislike the United States because they came to depend on the United States for uh, to model themselves as business, to um, to defend them,
And they
to
could rely on the United States. That's not they came
yeah.
to rely on us,
Well, they
but they
came
could.
to yeah. That's what they came to means, and that reliance, that idea is gone. That you can't rely. And the one thing about the United States that is true in business, is true in our daily lives, is that there was law and you could rely on the law. Now, it might be right or wrong, but you could rely on the law. If you signed a contract with somebody, you had to live up to that contract. If we promised somebody something, we were going to deliver on that promise unless there was extenuating circumstances. Um, if our word was our bond. Our word is no longer our bond. If you're
Well,
a business, you can't rely on the laws because
Trump
we have.
started Trump started that in his private business and just
Well, yeah,
and continued it in his political business.
yeah.
You
What
could
made
never.
anybody think it was going to be different?
He was not going to pay his bills. He was not going to pay his lawyers. He was not going to pay his workers. He was not going to pay the guys that put in the drywall. And his solution was always, "What are you going to do about it?" And for some reason, he's been able to skate on the law his entire life. I don't understand it. I can't see how it sustains year after year people doing business with him, but it's a fact. He doesn't pay his bills. He doesn't follow the law, and he gets away with it every damn time. How does that work? How is that sustained? How is that possible? But it's the truth.
Well, he's realized, I think in part it is, he's realized that he can use the legal system to his advantage, just like he did with these trials. Um, he was convicted on how many counts of stuff, and yet served no jail time, didn't go to jail, didn't do, because his lawyers knew how to appeal and how to set it so that he could either run again. And if you combine that with enough people who thought that he would be a good president, and I don't, and again, that's the advertising, that's the crap that you put on TV, and that's the result of the Citizens United verdict of the Supreme Court that says that these rich guys, women, people can contribute as much money as they want, so they can spend as much as they want. So you have those factors and the factors that the Democrats royally fucked up, royally screwed it up, and you put them all together, and it brings you to today's situation. And I don't, I don't, I don't see a. I mean, do you see a strong Democratic response to what's going on?
I didn't think that Senator Kelly was going to run for president, but he looks like that's something that he's working on now, and that could be. I don't want to predict a successful campaign, there could be a pathway out of the
Yeah,
wilderness. If
he would have to.
they're
He would have to be, but that's a 3 year away pathway.
well, it starts even faster than that because, as we know, he's now indicted for his beliefs. That's something that this government can do. It determines what you think and what you believe and who you like and who you support. And based on the conclusions of that quick survey, they either try to put you in prison or they silence you in some other way, or they simply threaten you to the point where your support evaporates and deteriorates. And that's a real fear that any candidate that's going to try and set this right is going to face. You can't run against Donald Trump or the Republican remainders and hope to achieve your goals without facing the Department of Justice, facing they have their own laws, they have their own reality, they have their own culture. There's science and then there's Trump science. There's medicine and then there's Trump medicine. It's always different and it's separate and apart and it's an invention.
Right. And to be fair, and I really don't like being fair in these situations, but to be fair, the Department of Justice went after Trump fairly heavily.
Well, they didn't fucking indict him. They had 4 fucking years to do something. They did fucking nothing.
And they didn't do it. Local governments, and you're right, they should have, but they had that same opportunity, and they didn't. Right. And they didn't go after him for whatever reason, whether it was Biden said lay off him, he's a political candidate or what. And that's part of why everything is so fucked up. So
Biden was a troubled soul. And the worst thing he did was pretend that he wasn't deteriorating, Vinnie. He knew that he didn't have the mental, physical, spiritual strength to continue as president. We saw that when he was in office. It was impossible to imagine that he could make it through the next 4 years if he had been reelected. And the Democrats lied to themselves about what he was capable of doing.
Right.
And didn't have
everything they could. The people around him did everything they could to try to keep him in office. And it was obvious. But again, here's a guy that didn't stick to what he said. When he ran the first time, he said, I want to do this for 1 term. And I will, go in there and we'll get this country back on track after Donald Trump. He didn't prepare Kamala Harris correctly. As a matter of fact, he put her at a distance. I don't know that she was the person to be the next president because we didn't have enough time to
wasn't that the shortest presidential campaign ever?
Yeah, but we so they didn't prepare anything. And Biden didn't go back and say, halfway through the term, don't forget, I'm going to be gone after this. And listen, I realize it's difficult if you're the president of the United States to say, I don't want to do this job anymore when you can still possibly get reelected. But it was obvious that he had hit a decline. He was going down. And he couldn't let go. Too nice.
He couldn't let go, and the people, his closest advisors, and the strongest cabinet members all around him, and the party members all around him, they couldn't get it together either. They were in denial.
Nobody. This whole thing should have, that Democratic convention should have been to anoint the next generation of candidates, of people. It should have been a showcase. And at least if you would have lost against Trump, you would have lost with, you would have lost with exposing your people that you wanted for the future. And you could have got the word out there that this is what we want this country to look like.
Remember, the Democrats, one thing, the point that you raised earlier, Democrats edited themselves in the Department of Justice. They said, we believe that you can't judge a sitting president.
Right.
So, as much as we'd love to charge him with crimes, let's not. Let's be fair. Let's be generous. Let's extend the golf club to him and let him play for another 4 years. Let's do it by the book and edit ourselves before we get him into court. Just remember, you can't charge him, so there's no point in bringing charges against him, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Well, it's never been proven. That the answer to that question was no, it's not right. No, you have a criminal here. He must be charged. He must be seen to. He must be dealt with. But they couldn't do it. And Merrick Garland had no balls, had no organization, had no.
He had nothing. He brought nothing to the table. We should have known it when when that first impeachment report came out. And you didn't want to let this out and didn't want to let that out. Bullshit. You let everything out. This guy was. You couldn't see that this guy was a scourge. Now I don't know what that. Now again, we don't know everything. Maybe there's something that's going on that we don't know about. But good God, the Democrats. I have a lot of blame there too. I mean, it just it's not just that Biden was a bad candidate. It's that they knew it and they lied to people. They proved themselves
and lied to themselves. The first lie you have to tell in a situation like that, Vinnie, is he's strong enough to be president again. He'll be great for another 4 years. Well, if you're going to willing to believe that, then you'll believe anything about Donald Trump. You'll just accept any reality that in the world that he lives in, and deny reality in the world that you live in. That's the sign that their decision-making process was a mess. It was a terrible, terrible mess.
Well, the thing that's going to have to happen now is people are going to have to wake up and take active participation in the government. In this midterm elections coming up, you're going to have to get out there, I believe, and knock on doors and talk to people and get them to make sure that this isn't just a Democratic victory, but a Democratic victory by such numbers as the Republicans will be crushed. As that 60% of that Congress is Democrat. Now, you may not like the Democrats, but the Republicans certainly haven't done much of anything to earn your trust. What have they earned?
They've earned a place to sit and be silent. They've learned a place to give up their vote, give up their power, give up their influence, give up their checks and balances. They just sit and they wait to find out what they believe. What do we believe today? Well, Donald hasn't said anything.
Trump believes. Yeah, I mean, that's it. They're waiting to find out what Trump believes. And then, then they can, what does Mussolini believe? Oh, that, okay, well, now we can get on with our day. What does Il Duce say? Yeah, maybe that's what we ought to start calling Trump. Il Duce. In other happy news.
What the hell is his fascination with Greenland? I can't figure it out. There's no value there militarily that he is focused on. There's no reason. There's no background to it. It's just a whim, and it's a sign of insanity. There's nothing more indicative of his state of mind and those who support him in the whole discussion of Greenland. And he can't keep in mind whether it belongs to Denmark or whether it belongs to Norway. He doesn't know what the hell the capital city is, or who's there, or why he wants it. And he's never been there. He's never going there. And it makes no strategic sense.
Did you see his speech on Greenland when he did that thing, or he recapped his first year in office. Did you see any part of that press conference?
No, I know it was terribly disjointed
It
and
was it
unfocused.
was it was a joke. I mean, he say had brought this big book out of all these things that his administration accomplished, and he tossed it on the floor like he was tossing meat to the assembled press. And he started going into to Greenland and why he was mad at the Danes for not giving him the Nobel Peace Prize. He spent 10 minutes on him not getting the Peace Prize. Like an old guy who didn't get his cup of tea at noon.
But I wanted my tea at noon.
My tea was supposed to be here at noon. Why did you wait till 11:30 to get or 12:30 to get it to me? It's insane. It's unbelievable, is what it is, Michael. It really is. If you'd told you know Republicans like Nixon and Ford and those people of that era that something like this would ever happen, they'd say you were nuts.
That it couldn't happen. It couldn't even. No president would be powerful enough, strange enough,
The
corrupt
country would
enough.
never stand for it. Well, they're bending down for this one. Hopefully, hopefully things will hopefully people will take this as a call to. Well, hopefully it's not too late. First of all, hopefully people will take this as a call to get out and change it and change what's going on. And there's enough younger people that are going to take interest in this that are going to say, not only do I have to vote, but I have to work and participate in the system so that it changes to accommodate my future and what I think needs this the way I think this country needs to be.
I think one way that change may come about would be the European Union and NATO, because they've seen enough and they've heard enough, and they're going to do it without us. And the judgment will be on us. On your head be it. You brought this on yourself. You took us in this direction. You violated the laws in the following ways. You destroyed our alliance. You lied about NATO and lied about the structure of the European Union. And now we're going to make you pay for it by the process of elimination. We won't trade with you. We won't align with you. We won't support you. And we've learned the hard way that you won't support us anyway. Ask the Ukrainians, how's that support going?
Yeah. Exactly. Just that. Exactly. Ask the Ukrainians. And I don't know that anybody trusts us after that fiasco. It's still going on. How he just wants to sell out Ukraine to Putin. If you're Poland, if you're Moldavia, if you're any one of those Eastern European countries, how do you trust the United States?
Because they've proven that they won't honor their NATO alliance. And although Ukraine's not in NATO, the other countries that are threatened around Ukraine are in NATO. And an attack on one is an attack on them all. And the odd part is we never came to the conclusion that we would be the one who would receive the NATO attack, that we would be the enemy, that we would be the target, that we would be the bad guy, that we would be the ones to mess it up, and that NATO would have to turn on us by virtue of its organization and its promise to its members. And we can't stand against that, because those are the number one trading partners in the world. And the fascinating thing is they don't want to trade with us. They don't want to deal with us. They don't want to negotiate with us. And I don't blame them. We've proven that we can't be trusted. We've proven that we can't be relied upon. We've proven that we're liars and we're militarily dangerous to the peace of the planet.
Well, yeah, it's got to change, and it's not going to change until he's out of office. So somewhere, somehow, or is neutered to the point where people are up in arms enough that the Congress people, the Congress believes that the tide has really shifted in this country. That's why it's important to call your Congress people and send letters to your Congress people to let them know, your senators and your congressmen, let the people in the legislatures know, whether they're Republican or Democrat, that this is unacceptable. That this is not, you have to move the needle. And the way you move the needle with Congress is you show them that there is a opinion out there that says that you got to do something about this, or you're not going to have a job in a year. See, that's the hammer that the public holds right now. The hammer is that we're a year away from the midterms. Because I don't know right now that you would get enough people to invoke the 25th Amendment.
No, they'll never do it. They'll never do it. One
So,
thing we've learned about the Republicans is no matter how desperate the need of the nation, they will not vote. They will not use their power in Congress. They will follow Trump blindly right over the cliff. They are the lemmings of the political world. They have a vote that they won't use. They have the power that they won't honor, and they have a constituency that they refuse to represent. You elected them to the Congress, that's fine. Don't expect anything from me. I don't serve you, I serve Donald Trump.
yeah. And there's still enough people out there, the independents may have changed their mind. The Trumpers, the Trumpsters, the people that are MAGA people have
Never.
still, I don't think, changed their minds. They'll still back Donald Trump.
Yes.
For a large part. Not all of them. It's, a blanket statement, but there's a core of them who think he's right, who think that, the ones that, if you look back at their television record, they watched every episode of The Apprentice. And they have the T-shirts that say, you can finger me anytime, Donald Trump. Those people are out there. And there are more of them than you think. The people who I passed, I was riding up by Cedro Woolley this weekend, and I passed a house with a big old Trump sign on the fence. And I passed another house with a big old Trump sign on the fence. And I said, here's what befuddles me. Even if you were for Trump, why in the world would you put it on your fence?
How bad does it have to get before you take down your sign?
I mean, what are you showing the world? What are you showing? Are you showing the world that you're an idiot?
That you cannot learn from experience. No matter how awful it gets, you can't put the two together. My world is collapsing, and what does Donald Trump have to do with it? He's saving us. God sent him to be our savior.
Yeah, I just don't understand the whole thing of putting it on on the house.
And he didn't mean those things anyway, Vinnie. He was kidding. They used that example just this week, 2 days ago. The press secretary said Donald Trump may have said that, but he was kidding.
Well, she follows the long line of his press secretaries before her, who proved that they are worthless. That they're nothing but just puppets. They're absolutely worthless.
Agents of propaganda.
Yeah, they. I mean, this one's worse than the others because you kind of get the feeling she believes she's right.
She's a true believer, yeah.
Yeah, she's in that Sarah Huckabee Sanders class.
And so she should not be near the wheels of power, but there she is.
No, she certainly is in proximity to it. Hey, you know what? One of our favorite guys is no longer a Met. You remember Luis Angel Acuna, that player a couple of years ago. We were jumping up and down about. He seemed to get a hit every time he was up. He was traded yesterday.
Where are they trading?
From the Mets to the White Sox, along with a pitching prospect named Truman Pauly, in exchange for Luis Robert Jr., who was the White Sox center fielder. And the Mets needed a center fielder because they really didn't have one for opening day. And the rules say you got to have somebody out there.
It's a position player. You got to have 9 guys on the field.
And the rules now go so as far as to say you have to have them in the right positions. You can't shift them like you used to be able to.
Can't just move them around hoping to gain an advantage. That's not how we're going to do it. But a trade from New York to Chicago White Sox sounds personal. It sounds like he was given an opportunity to do the right thing and he didn't, and they made him pay by trading him to the pale hose.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, he didn't figure into the plans of the rebuilding of the Mets. I mean, although we loved him as a player, and he got some key hits back a year ago, he seemed to have trouble hitting the ball out of the infield. And he was a good fielder, and he got, like I said, he got some nice hits, but he couldn't do it consistently enough, and especially last year when the Mets were in turmoil, he couldn't do much. Whereas Robert, I think that's how you say it. It's spelled Robert, but I'm going to go with Robert. Seems to be one of those guys, according to what people are saying, that goes from a bad team to a good team and becomes a good player. That the level of water rises, so he goes up with it instead of staying down. We'll see. I mean, he's got potential. It looks like.
See, the Giants have avoided all this questioning and worrying in the offseason and the appearance of building a team. The Giants have decided they're not going to build a team. They're not going to build a team to compete with the Los Angeles Dodgers because it's too expensive. And they're not interested in that. They're interested in just selling tickets, Pittsburgh style. Come and see our fireworks show. We're going to do another Grateful Dead night. All the Grateful Dead members are dead, but we're going to honor them as best we can by having Grateful Dead night and fireworks night and bobblehead night. But don't count on us to play baseball. Don't count on us to put a team on the field designed to win the World Series or even get to the World Series. We're not completely convinced that the playoffs are that important, to tell you the truth. We're going to design some ugly new city uniforms. Going to show everybody what they look like halfway through the season. We're going to have some pitchers that give up big hits and some infielders that let the ball go through, some outfielders that can't get to Triples Alley. And we hope that that'll be entertaining for you. We hope that that'll keep you coming to the games, maybe even sell one out now and then. But don't ask for us to concentrate on the game of baseball. We are not capable. We're not interested in it. We're not going to do it. Not going to do it, Vinnie. We're just going to be in the National League West. And
now they bought a theater. I mean, really, what do you want? They bought the current theater, didn't they?
It's a good question. I don't know what I want. I used to think that baseball was simple enough for me to say, hit the ball, run, beat the other guys, score runs, and you'll win the game. But it's too simple for the Giants. They need different kind of motivation. It can't be just about the money. It can't be just about the game. It's got to be about something that we have a hard time defining. And consequently, no new outfielders, no new pitchers of consequence, no players coming in to hit the home runs and to win the game. We're past that. You don't
want to upset the new manager. I mean, you got a new manager. You don't want to upset him, do you? I mean,
I'm not going to have to upset him. I think he'll learn to be upset on his own. Won't take long.
you come in and there's different faces in spring training than you saw when you signed your contract. I mean, that can lead to people um, being lost. A new manager could be lost in that situation. So maybe they said, let's wait a year before we bring different people in. Let's let him get used to the faces and where everybody sits in the dugout and where the sunflower seeds are and the yoo-hoo and the
Bubblegum.
Kool-Aid, the bug juice and the
Well,
cookies. Let him get used to all of that, and then we'll go out and get some players. And we'll entertain the people with some fireworks, and we got some bobbleheads or these new little dolls that they give out. I think I got one here. Wait a minute. These things. I don't know if my camera will pick it up. The
no, it's
pop.
not.
Let me try something. I did something the other day, and now I just want to try it. No, it's not working. I guess I gotta get a green screen someday. Anyway, this is a pop Funko, a Funko Pop. This is a Steve Largent figurine, and this is what they're giving out these days. You can télécharger l'application Funko, and you can get your own. I believe you can get your own Funko Pop made in your image.
Giants are going to get a new fungo bat this year, Vinny, and one of the coaches can use it and learn how to hit flies to the outfield. That so the outfielders can practice catching the ball.
No pepper.
No pepper,
No pepper.
But fungo's okay.
The sign says no pepper. Besides, they got to prepare. I mean, they have to. They gotta get ready for the Jeff Kent thing at the Hall of Fame. They gotta get ready for that. I mean, they can't have two different things happening. If you get ready for that, and you got to get to Cooperstown to the induction ceremony, how can you keep your mind concentrating on building a winning team?
That's why I think they're going to have to put their energies elsewhere because they've proven that they're not good at staying focused on winning the game. That's not the Giants' forte. There's too much reliance on talent and power and pitching and organization and team speed. We haven't got any of those things. We're going to have to think of this in another way.
Well, maybe they could just go to whoever wins the Commissioner's Trophy next season. Right after they win the Commissioner's Trophy, they could send Larry Baer and Buster Posey over to the stadium of the winner and say,
that's one thing we have. We have executives. We have guys in suits. We have people who take meetings.
And he says that we should have really won that trophy, so we'd like you to give it to us, and they can put it on display at the 24 Willie Mays Way there.
Just say that it was a hoax, and we did win.
Yeah, you just we did win it. Just put it in the lobby. Tell people we won it, and we'll be good.
Proclaim ourselves champions.
Yeah. Why not? Why? What's the sense of doing everything else and spending the money and having this way we just take it over.
Plus, the way baseball is set up, you have to play all these games to determine who's the winner, and that takes a whole season. It's very time consuming.
We got to hire people to clean the stadium. We got to hire people to sell hot dogs. We got to hire people to park cars for the rich people. It's a lot of money.
So the only guy who's organized to the point of being able to work every day is Harry M. Stevens. Nobody else can put together the skill and the staff required to sustain a campaign for an entire year.
Well, we don't want to say this, Mike. We don't want to say it early, but we're probably going to cut the garlic fries too. We were thinking that the garlic fries, which by far are probably the most popular introduced snack food at ballpark in generations. We're going to cut them out for this year too.
Can we still have the fry part, or do we have to cut the garlic?
Well, yeah, we'll still have some fry. Well, remember the old cold ones they used to give you with the old lady with the apron dress that used to stand behind the thing with the glass and stick her hand?
You couldn't get them till they cool off and were officially cold fries.
Right. They didn't want you to burn yourself with the fries or the coffee. So they waited until it was cold to serve it to you.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to that system because we have the machines in the back. We brought them from Candlestick thinking that we might need them someday. And if we're not going to give you quality baseball, we may as well give you crappy food too.
I think you've stumbled upon a marketing ploy that the current San Francisco Giants fans cannot ignore. Bad food, bad baseball. Come and see us Friday night.
Sure, the 2026 Giants, bad baseball, bad food, be there. It's an advertising campaign.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it. Friday night, Funko giveaway night.
Everybody gets a fungo bat. What could go wrong with that?
And it looks like Larry Bear.
Remember, they used to hand out bats, and the crowd would bang them in.
Yeah,
together.
I remember I always was an advocate that they should have nickel beer night and bat night on the same day.
Doubleheader. First game is the beer. Get everybody liquored up, and then give them weapons.
Yeah, and I always thought
like that idea.
That places like Yankee Stadium, you get rid of 20 or 30,000 people out of the population pretty quick.
It's called turnover, fan turnover.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Elimination of the fan base. You hate that word? Here's the way to get rid of it. Get rid of your fan base.
Oh, do I hate that? It makes my skin crawl.
Beer and bat night.
Fan base. What is a fan base? I mean, I know what fans are, and I know what a base is. It can be a couple of things. It's one of those words that have a few meanings. It could be a bag on the field that you slide into. Is that a fan base? Is it first base, second base, third base, and fan base? And then home plate? Or
too many of the Giants have never been to third base, so I know they hit a double. They know where to go to second base, but they're so unfamiliar with the game after that. There's no direct way to get from second base to third base if you're a San Francisco Giant.
Is it a club somewhere? Like it's like a moon base or something where the fans go to gather? Come back to base. Like a headquarters. Is there a big building somewhere in downtown San Francisco or downtown Manhattan or Queens or something where the fan base is gathering?
Not so you would notice it, no.
They all know something that I don't know. And so I'm not included in the fan base.
It's possible that this new way of playing baseball is going to catch on. The Giants could be team leaders in that regard, where you put aside winning and losing and the extraordinary expense of putting together a top team and just concentrate on the little things that make life worthwhile, like hitting a triple but not knowing how to get past second base. That's a Giants problem. That's a National League West problem. and we're going to work on that. We're going to work on it in spring training. That's what we'll do. We'll work on it in spring training, and work at like we do with all the difficult plays. What does a pitcher do when he has to leave the mound and field his position? Many San Francisco Giants pitchers don't know the answer to that question, and we give them an opportunity in spring training to work on those questions, those holes in their game. The idea is to perfect your game when these games don't count, and that's something the Giants love about spring training. The games don't count, Vinnie, and that is such a relief to the team. The pressure's off, and the backbiting and the post-game regrets, all that's put aside, and you don't need it anymore because those games don't count. They simply don't count. And another thing that the Giants have worked on, and you love this too, when it's still early in the season, that's the excuse for everything not working. The fries don't come on. When they do come, they're cold. The beer's not cold. We're running out of soft drinks. There's no room for parking, but that's okay. It's still early. We're going to get these things figured out.
It's early. It's early yet. Well, if we can get rid of people saying the fan base, and that's an all sports thing. If we get rid of that, that would make me extremely happy. That would make me a lot happier than I am now with sports. And I'm kind of disenchanted with sports right now.
Well, that's because you want the Mets to win, and they've made up their mind to do something else.
Well,
Can't
no,
quite define what it is.
That's true. I don't know that I dislike the moves that they made. I mean, it's actually when as they add this guy, this Robert to center field, and they of course signed Bo Bichette, who is as we saw here during the playoffs, is a pretty good little player. He's gonna get in there at third base for him. So I think they've replaced. I think they have the makings of a good team now. How is everybody going to play together? How is everybody going to meld together? We'll see. But they have some decent players at a number of positions. Who knows?
Do they have enough to give you hope? Because it's vital for the fans to have hope.
Yeah. I'm hopeful about the Mets. Listen, I like many Met fans who were upset when they traded Alonso or didn't sign Alonso. I got upset when they made a couple of other moves because the players were fan favorites. But as you learn by being in Seattle, fan favorites get traded.
Polanco's gone.
If it makes the team better, and by looking at what the Mets have right now, I don't know that it's a bad, I don't know that it's a bad combination yet. And adding Bichette for third base, I think makes it better, a lot better. There's some power in the lineup.
So
I don't know how they're going to be defensively. I don't know how the first baseman is going to work out, being as he's only played one game in his career at first base. But we'll see.
He can work on his first base skills during spring training.
Yeah, that's what they have spring training for. And I mean, we'll see. But it's interesting yesterday also to see that Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran were elected to the Hall of Fame. I know for some people, Andrew Jones was a question too, but for a lot more people, I guess, Beltran, because of his participating in the cheating scandal with the Astros. Some people say, well, if you can elect him to the Hall of Fame for cheating, why can't you put steroid guys in if your criteria is that they cheated? And I don't know. I guess it kind of comes down to whether you think sign stealing is cheating.
I don't know that it is.
Yeah, some people
It's
will say it's not.
it's discouraged, but it's also part of the game that has survived the decades.
Yeah, yeah.
And this I don't know what this means, but they all do it. You touch the ear, you touch the nose, you touch the ear.
Well, I know touching the ear is saying. I always thought was saying hello to Carol Burnett's grandmother.
Hello,
Wasn't
grandma.
that Carol Burnett's thing? And she would touch her ear, and it was saying hello to her grandmother who was watching at home.
Well, that explains it then. That's why Leo DeRocher did it. He was saying hello to Carol Burnett's grandmother.
Well, it seems to be as good a reason as any. I mean, who knows? Maybe it really means pitch, catch. I don't know, but I'm going to go with Carol Burnett's grandmother.
I would like to sign for catch. That's something I want all the outfielders and the Giants to know. When I do this, I want them to catch the ball. Catch the ball.
Well,
They're going to have to
sometimes
do
you don't have a chance to do that because you got to run for the ball. So you just have to take off. You can't do that. You just have to go.
Timing's everything.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take a good route to the ball. And we've seen some people take some interesting routes to the ball over the year. Dave Kingman used to take the back roads to the baseball.
Jose, the outfielder for the A's, Jose Canseco.
Yes, Jose Canseco.
He took an interesting route to the ball, or the ball took an interesting route to his forehead, whichever you think happened.
Yeah, he got. Well, he had a couple of different interesting encounters with the ball, but that one, where the ball hits him in the top of the head and then goes over the fence, that's got to be. I mean, that was
it's a painful way to watch a run score.
It was never a dull moment with Jose Canseco. Covering him or watching him or whatever way you were involved with Jose Canseco. There was just never a dull moment. He was.
Shall we join this conversation on Freaky Friday, a Fractious Friday?
Yes, let's rejoin this fine conversation. We'll have we'll be just a couple of days in front of the NFC and AFC championship games. The town is painting itself Seahawk blue.
And really, there's only going to be one game. I can't. It's funny that the Broncos are presenting the team, but they don't talk about the backup quarterback. I don't know who's going to take Bo Nix's place. Not that it seems to make much difference to the National Football League. They've written that game off. It's like it's going to be the Rams and the Seahawks, but the Broncos are going to play with 10 guys.
Well, I wouldn't write the. I wouldn't go ahead and just write off the New England Patriots quite yet, or the Rams for that matter. Although, what I'm seeing from the Seahawks is, I'm glad the game's here instead of down there.
Yeah,
I'm glad that because they may need to use that home field advantage to their advantage.
Do so. Don't hesitate to do so, Seahawks, if you intend to win. It's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they losing Charbonnet is going to hurt them a little bit, but again, they seem to have that Mike Tomlin magic where the next guy up makes the plays.
And they can play defense, you can win.
Yep, and if you can play defense, the Seahawks, there's no doubt that the Seahawks defense is just going to have Matthew Stafford on his toes, on his flat feet,
on his tush, yeah.
Yeah, he'll see a lot of movement, and it'll be him that'll be moving. on Sunday. So those are going to be two good games.
Don't
And,
hold on to that ball. That's my advice to you, Matthew. Do not just stand there and hold on to that ball.
No, that's not gonna be a good thing for you. All right, so we'll discuss that on Friday and whatever else is at the top of the news. If the Lord's willing, the creek won't rise.
Whatever's left of the European continent.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's going to be a barn burner to watch, I'm sure.
bring everybody. Bring your own barn to burn.
Yeah, bring your own barn to burn and bring some non-imported beverages. Don't get anything from Canada, because I got a funny feeling that they're not putting love into bottles from Canada and to this beautiful country. See ya Friday. If the Lord's willing, the creek don't rise. In peace and love and Manischewitz. Thank you for listening to the show. Bye now.